The big story that we are tracking once again today, after the ban on Uber cabs as a fallout of the rape that took place a few days ago on a taxi, the government is now clamping down on unregistered online taxi services across the country. Interestingly, the government though remains divided over the decision, with the Union Transport Minister saying a ban will serve no purpose. Customers too, interestingly, are finding the ban to be hasty and unreasonable. We decided to conduct a reality check on how safe women feel while riding in radio taxis across the country. Simi Pasha, Rohini Swami and Pratibha Brahman now report.
The rape of a 26-year-old MNC executive on board a private cab, allegedly by the taxi driver, has sent shockwaves across the country. Not just because it highlights the fact that there has been no improvement in women's safety in Delhi since the Nirbhaya case, but also because the rape survivor had seemingly chosen a safe travel option. Private cab services are mostly used by the upwardly mobile, who may not be driving their own car, but don't mind shelling a few extra bucks.
Regarding whatever is happening, they need to first catch all these people, and so then people there'll be a deterrent, right?
Police should do something about it. They should have, like checking in the nights, and they should have security at least going around in the nights in Delhi and check like what is happening on the roads.
Under fire for not being able to provide adequate security to women, the Delhi government has now decided to ban all private radio taxi services except for a select few. But is that really a solution?
Maybe if they could have just taken an action instead of just banning the services, it would have been a better option.
You cannot just ban trains and buses if it happens, and such incidents happen in there as well.
If you stop Uber cabs in a city, this is not the whole and sole problem, right? This is not the solution to whole and sole problem. It can happen anywhere.
Strong reactions coming in from commuters in Delhi and people on social networking sites about the Delhi government's decision of banning Uber cabs. People are asking why the government could not implement rules and couldn't ensure that laws are followed instead of banning an online cab service. Now here's why cab services like Uber are easy. If you're sitting in office, it's late in the evening, you're looking for a cab, all you have to do is go online and search for cab services.
If you don't want to go online to book a cab, all you have to do is dial an easy-to-remember number.
Say bye-bye to call center queues. Download the Ola Cab mobile app to book a cab with one touch. Transferring your call to our customer support executive.
Within seconds of making the call, you receive a message giving the driver's name and mobile number and the registration number of the cab. The cab arrives at the designated location within 10 minutes. And this is the secret behind their success.
Right, so within 10 minutes of me making a phone call, my cab is here. It's as easy as that. While cab services like Ola may have been banned from the streets of Delhi, it's not without reason that they're so popular. They reach on time within 10 minutes of you making a phone call, and you get exact details of the driver you'll have, where he'll pick you up from, and other credentials. They also have drivers who are friendly and seemingly reliable. Now, I've gotten a message saying that my driver is Harbinder Singh ji, who's come to pick me up. Harbinder Singh जी, आप इस कैब सर्विस के साथ कितने साल से काम कर रहे हैं?
मेरे को तो ये तकरीबन अभी मैक्सिमम 15 दिन के करीब हुए हैं जी। अच्छा, आपने जब ओला में अप्लाई किया तो इन्होंने कोई वेरिफिकेशन प्रोसेस होता है क्या? आपको क्या पेपर भरने पड़े? हमारे को गाड़ी के पूरे पेपर जी, अपना ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस और अपना पैन कार्ड, अपना बैंक अकाउंट का चेक एक, वो सारा चीजें इन्होंने ली। ये कोई मोबाइल ऐप है यहाँ पर जिससे आपकी मतलब ओला सर्विस जो ट्रैक करती है, आपको आपके हेड ऑफिस को कैसे पता चलता है कि कौन सी सर्विस, कौन सी कैब सबसे ज्यादा डेस्टिनेशन के पास है? वो अपने इससे ट्रैक से देख लेते होंगे जी, जो भी है कोई नजदीक उसको भेज देते हैं जी।
As Simi tries taxis in Delhi, in Bengaluru, Pratibha and Rohini test their cab services.
Now that the taxi has arrived, we will be travelling in this taxi from here to Yashwantpur to do a reality check and find out what are the kind of security measures that needs to be looked into, especially for we as women entering this taxi as customers.
Be it Delhi, Bengaluru or any other metro, private cab services provide an easy transport option for many. As cab operators lodged their protest against the ban on Tuesday, they found support from unexpected quarters.
आखिर व्यवस्था में एक कैब में अगर गड़बड़ हुई तो कैब बंद कर दें, इस प्रकार से तो मामला सॉल्व नहीं हो पाएगा। पर इसके बाद में भी इसमें अगर कुछ कमियां हैं, ऐसा दिल्ली सरकार के ध्यान में है, इसलिए उन्होंने कार्रवाई की होगी और मुझे लगता है कि उसके ऊपर उचित कार्रवाई निश्चित रूप से होगी।
Is banning cabs in Delhi the solution to women's safety issues, or is the government missing a crucial policing link? With Rohini Swami, Pratibha Raman in Bengaluru and Simi Pasha in Delhi, Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Okay, so is the government speaking in two voices? The big question, the ban on Uber, is that simply a knee-jerk reaction? That's the question that we're going to raise and try and widen this debate. Joining me now on our panel today, Jai Panda of the Biju Janata Dal, someone who has now spoken out saying that the ban shouldn't be done. Kiran Majumdar-Shaw, Chairman and Managing Director of Biocon, joins me from Bengaluru. Also joining me, Meera Sanyal, leader of the Aam Aadmi Party. She's also, of course, a leading corporate executive. I'm also joined by my other guest at the moment, Sudhanshu Mittal of the BJP is joining me. And I'm also joined by Kunal Lalani, Chairman Mega Cabs and President of the Association of Radio Taxis India, and Karuna Nandi, Senior Lawyer. So all bases covered. Let me come to you first at the moment, Jai Panda. You were there in Parliament. Do you believe that this ban on Uber is a knee-jerk reaction, as apparently you have suggested?
First, I want to clarify, Rajdeep, that I don't think the ban serves any purpose, because we can't ban public buses and other modes of transport which also have similar or more risk. But that's not to say that Uber doesn't have some responsibility and some accountability, and I'll touch upon that in a minute. And yes, I do think it's a knee-jerk reaction, because the government needs to demonstrate that it's doing something, and apart from arresting the alleged rapist, I think that this is sort of a knee-jerk reaction, but I think a more considered decision needs to be taken. And although I reiterate that the ban is not a solution, I also want to make a point that Uber is a commercial service. It's not a charity. It is earning something from these taxis or cars being used by the public, and therefore it has certain responsibilities towards its customers' safety. And just to say that it goes by government-issued driver's license, etc., is not enough. They may have misrepresented the safety that customers have when they go in an Uber cab, and that needs to be looked at.
I'm going to come to those specific liabilities that Uber or any taxi service should have, and whether that is really the root of the problem. But Kiran Majumdar-Shaw, let's be clear. Here is a taxi service that is now global, that has billions of dollars, that has got a large amount of investment in it. Surely one would expect that a service like this cannot outsource safety, cannot say, as it appears to have suggested, that the driver is not our responsibility. We have limited liability when it comes to the driver. To that extent, by not following the licensing norms in this country, by not even having a proper license to operate as a point-to-point taxi service in the national capital, does Uber deserve to remain in service in the national capital?
You know, Rajdeep, the way I look at it is that we have a serious societal systemic failure that we have to address. Okay? Uber is successful everywhere in the world. I don't think they've had these kind of issues in any other city in the world.
No, they have. They have. Let me correct you, ma'am. Let me correct you. Sorry to interrupt. There have been issues.
Something about that.
Ma'am, I'm sorry to interrupt. There have been issues with Uber when it comes to safety, both in the United States and in other countries. We've heard now Thailand wants to ban the service. The worry is, in its quest for profit, is it compromising safety?
No, but they want to ban it not because of safety. I'm sorry, Rajdeep. In Thailand, they want to ban the service not because of safety. They want to ban it because of regulations. Okay? Let's get the facts clear. But what I'm saying is, we have to look at a very serious malaise that we have. I am not trying to defend Uber. I certainly believe that Uber should be much safer, and they should guarantee safety if that's what they're claiming. I think Uber needs to make sure that they go through standard operating procedures which look at safety. They have to do that much more in a country like India, in a city like Delhi. So I'm not trying to defend Uber at all. But I think we need to look beyond that. I think we need to look at the serious issue that we have in terms of keeping our women safe. Are you trying to tell me that even registered taxis are safe? I don't think women are safe in terms of traveling by taxi or bus or any public transport, and therefore I believe it is a knee-jerk reaction just to ban Uber. Take action against Uber for what has happened, but banning them is not solving the malaise, the problem, the systemic societal issue that we have to deal with.
Okay.
I think we have to go beyond that.
Okay, I'm going to come to the politicians last, because I first want to get in civil society voices. Karuna Nandi, you're a lawyer in the courts. You've been an activist. Do you believe that there is this pressure, media pressure, which comes, in a sense, activists put pressure on the system, which forces the politicians to go in for reaction like, let's ban Uber? Is banning Uber, as Kiran Majumdar-Shaw says, registered taxis are not any less safer, are they?
Look, I don't, A, I'm not an activist, B, I don't know which activist you're talking about, because the problem with this situation, and I've been extremely clear about this, and there have been a lot of protests, I think, and the protests that I have heard about is not about banning Uber. You know, this is really a knee-jerk reaction. Not that I'm saying that Uber should not be, and ban I think is the wrong word, but since they are not operating with a permit, there are various permits that they're not operating under. Let's be very clear that Indian law squarely applies to them, Rajdeep, because they have provided services in India, they have held themselves out as being a safe taxi service, and those services have been taken by women, and there has been a deficiency in service. So one thing I fail to see is that why is this girl not being supported to claim massive damages from them, for a start. Secondly, they have been banned in Germany. There are cries to ban them in England. I think operating without a permit is a separate issue. My question is this, is that why is there such a big focus on just the company when it is part of a larger ecosystem in terms of making sure that there are safe spaces for women?
Can I get
Karuna,
hold on that thought. You've come to the question, which is the ecosystem. Let's look at that ecosystem for a moment. With me in the studio is someone who drives who heads a radio taxi union. You know, in a sense, Mr. Kunal Lalani, is the issue that everyone wants to take shortcuts. Uber wants to take shortcuts, other radio taxi services, the government of India wants to take shortcuts. The policeman who seems to be giving that fake verification certificate or forged verification certificate, which he doesn't sort of go through, is taking a shortcut. Is it about the system taking a shortcut when it comes to issues of safety of women?
Well, I can say on behalf of the radio taxi companies in India that we definitely do not take any shortcuts. You ensure verification, you ensure that the badges are there, you ensure that GPS is there in every taxi? Absolutely. It is mandatory as per the license conditions, and that's how the governments in various cities or the city governments formed those legislations and those schemes. And I can tell you there are right now 18 license holders in the country who are operating registered radio taxi services. And all of them are mandated to have complete GPS connectivity, 24-hour call center. And besides that, all drivers must be approved by the transport department.
Are you saying, therefore, what happened in Uber is an exception that doesn't prove any kind of rule?
Not really.
It was purely an exceptional situation.
No, the new operators who are not licensed, Uber is one of them, there are quite a few others, are using unverified vehicles as well as drivers who just hold simple commercial licenses. So that is where the compromise happens.
They are reducing their liability by effectively outsourcing the issue of drivers, of verification. That's what you're claiming. Okay, this is someone who, remember, is chairman of Mega Cabs and president of the Association of Radio Taxis. Let me then come to that ecosystem. Here someone is suggesting that the radio taxis are following the norm. But Sudhanshu Mittal, the ecosystem, the way I understand it, is that the political class has decided to pass the buck on to Uber and said it is Uber's problem in a way. You don't seem to be blaming the police, which didn't follow the verification processes that they should have, as a result of which someone who was acquitted in a rape case is back on the roads driving a taxi. I don't hear any cries to try and reform the police verification systems. Instead, all I hear is let's get rid of Uber. Surely that's not the answer.
Rajdeep, I'm very happy that you're raising some very pertinent questions. Because normally when such incidents take place, instead of looking at the real issue, we tend to take political stances. I'm happy you've raised the question, and let me not take a political stance on this issue. There are three aspects to it. One is the prevention, the other is the detection, and the third is the punishment when such incidents happen. First, prevention. You have to put in a system in place where without verification and complete background check, no driver, whether it be for a three-wheeler scooter, whether it be for a black and yellow taxi, or a radio taxi, or a Uber kind of a service, is able to ply on road.
But that's not happening.
Because in public transport, if...
No, but I agree.
I
didn't hear your Home Minister say that. I didn't hear your Home Minister say that today in Parliament. You're talking about prevention, you're talking about the ecosystem now. I didn't hear it from your Home Minister. Your Home Minister said, we've now banned the radio taxi service, almost as if that is the resolution of the issue.
Rajdeep, that's what I'm just saying. Please understand. The present regulations as framed do not require this. What do? So you need to reframe the regulations.
You created a grey area which taxi operators like Uber have exploited. That's what you've done. Instead of plugging that loophole, you're banning Uber.
No, we are looking at a holistic view on the matter. One, you have to plug these loopholes where not only the taxis, the three-wheelers also, or even the yellow and black taxis, nobody who's operating any of this public transport is not doing it without verification. This is the first priority which the government has to follow. Second, vis-a-vis the culpability of Uber, let it be best decided by the legal luminaries who are around. I personally have used Uber, and what I liked about it was that I could track where my daughter was going. You know, she was traveling and I could see the movement of the car very clearly. I could see who the driver was because the photograph came and the taxi number. So I would not in a jiffy say, look, no, let's ban it. Third, you know, we are all missing out on one very crucial element, which is criminal jurisprudence. Nirbhaya took place. Everybody knows the guilty. The guilties have been pronounced to be criminals, and nothing has happened till date. So, if criminal jurisprudence delays dispensation of justice,
I take your point.
People are not punished, the deterrent it should prove for people not to take law in their own hands.
I take your point. I take your point. I only wish the Home Minister had spoken in Parliament the way you're speaking on the TV program today, rather than simply leaving the problem at the door of Uber. But Meera Sanyal, the Aam Aadmi Party, I know has an election in 8 weeks. Hold on, Sudhanshu. I know that the Aam Aadmi Party has an election in Delhi in 8 weeks or so. Does that mean that you also believe that the entire system has collapsed? I've seen Aam Aadmi Party workers now going on the street saying, remove the Home Minister, the government must respond. Are we all reacting in knee-jerk fashion every time there is a high-profile rape case? That's the worry. And we politicize the issue rather than, as Karuna Nandi and Kiran Majumdar-Shaw are saying, transform the ecosystem, which ensures that women are safer. Let's look at issues like street lighting. Let's look at real issues that we need to track.
I think they're absolutely right, Rajdeep, and I think what we've seen here is three things. We've seen multiple failures of accountability, we've seen absolutely misplaced priorities, and we've seen very mixed signals. Uber, of course, is accountable, but so is the police, so is the State Transport Authority, so is the Home Minister and the Lieutenant Governor. There is a citizen called Amit Bhargav who wrote a letter to the Delhi Transport Authority and to the Lieutenant Governor on August 4th, pointing out that there was a mushrooming of illegal cabs like Uber and the danger it posed to women's safety, but no action was taken. Let's talk about priorities. In the budget, there is an allocation of 100 crores for the security of women, but 400 crores for the security of politicians and VIPs. Let's talk about the Nirbhaya Fund. 1,000 crores was allocated 2 years ago. RTI activists have letters saying that not a single paisa of that has been allocated. So we can't stop rapes and we can't help victims. And let's then talk about the mixed signals. The Delhi Transport Authority says we should ban the cabs. The Transport Minister says we shouldn't. And you're absolutely right, Rajdeep. We need to take tangible steps. Of course we're going for an election, and you know that we've had the Delhi dialogues, we've gone out into 280 wards and come up with a 10-point action plan. Let's remove the dark spots in Delhi. You walk around Delhi, street lights everywhere are not functional. You ban a cab. How are women going to get home?
That's
you
exactly
don't have last mile connectivity.
That's exactly it. And that's the worry, that no one is looking at that specific issue. Kiran Majumdar-Shaw, where would you start? If you were made, Kiran Majumdar-Shaw, if you were made Lieutenant Governor or CEO, or if you were put in charge of the transport department of, let's say, Bangalore, where would you start? If you were told this has happened, as a CEO, what do you believe would be the first step you would take?
See, I am a great believer in technology, which is what Uber uses. But they haven't done all what is required to make sure that technology ensures women's safety. But the first thing we need to look at is, can we create a reliable database that portrays criminals? I mean, how do we access any database that basically verifies the criminal aspects or antecedents of any driver? I think it's impossible to try and track the bona fides of any cab driver if you have to keep going to individual police stations to verify whether such and such a person is a criminal or not. We have not invested in any database of any credible or responsible.
So you'd start with a database?
And I can tell you,
you'd start with a centralized database,
which is the IT capital of the world, of India. Yeah.
You know, the reason I'm asking you that is what is to stop? What is to stop, as in this case, the individual from getting a fake verification certificate? What database will be able to control that? There's corruption in the licensing department, corruption in the road transport department, which ensures that an individual gets a fake.
Sorry.
Rajdeep.
No, one minute, Sudhanshu, no interruptions,
Rajdeep,
please.
When there is a database that captures...
Yes. Go ahead, ma'am.
When there is a database that captures criminal action against people, I think it can be accessed. If this person, this taxi driver, was in jail for a previously committed rape, how come that person's antecedents are not known to anybody?
Right.
Don't you have a database that captures that?
I think I take your point. I take your point. Do you want to jump in on that now, Sudhanshu, before I move to the other panelists, and keep it short? A simple question has been asked. You are going into prevention. You are now in power. Let's be clear, Sudhanshu. You are in power. You can't pass the buck. You've got a situation where a driver who was arrested in a rape case is acquitted, and the police somehow or the other ends up giving him a verification certificate. He's back on the street. Uber fails to verify his antecedents. Uber is culpable, and so is the government of the day. That is the harsh reality.
Rajdeep, the culpability lies elsewhere. We'll discuss that. One thing. Here is a man who was earlier charged with rape. He's on bail and he commits the same offense. The criminal jurisprudence needs to be strengthened. We have to look, we are all missing out on one basic factor.
Hold on. Sir, I have taken your point. I have taken your point of criminal jurisprudence. He was acquitted in the case. I want to know, how did your database not have this? How did your database not have that someone who was charged in a rape case is back on the street driving a cab?
Rajdeep,
because you don't have a centralized database.
Or the police verification. Allow me. When the police verification itself is a forged document as stated by the Delhi police, what are we talking about? It's not a verification which has been done by the police, because it's a forged document on the basis of which the company employed him. I'm again saying, the steps after this, we have to understand there has to be a multi-layer check on people who are driving auto rickshaws, who's driving black and white taxis, radio taxis, Uber kind of taxis, buses. There has to be a multi-layer check.
Who's going to do that check? Let me take that to Karuna Nandi.
The government of the day.
Okay, the government of the day. Okay, you're conceding that. You're conceding that it's
the government of the day.
Okay, I'll get Jai Panda in on that and then come to Karuna. Jai, respond to that. That governments, whether it could be in your state of Odisha, it could be anywhere. Let's not only single out the BJP government at the moment because it's in power at the center. The Delhi police reports to the BJP government. But are government serious about improving the ecosystem? There were hard facts that Meera Sanyal gives about where the money is gone. After the Nirbhaya incident, where has the money gone? Why hasn't it gone into investing into an ecosystem which will provide greater safety? It's not just about cabs, it's about an entire ecosystem.
Rajdeep, I can give you 20 things that need to be done. Let me just point out 3. Today, more than 600 million Indians are linked on the Aadhaar UID system through biometrics. And that should be made mandatorily linked to the court system, to the criminal justice system, so that anybody who's in prison or anybody who's out on bail is able. And certainly, public transport employees must all be made a part of that system. This is not rocket science.
But we are saying this 2 years after Nirbhaya. It's not rocket science. Then why hasn't it been done? Is the simple question that an average Indian will ask.
Please listen to me, Rajdeep. I don't think I made myself clear. The Aadhaar technology was not in place 2 years ago. It is today covering more than half of all Indians with biometric certitude of the person. So today you have the technology and you have a large enough base of citizens covered under Aadhaar that you can link it to the criminal justice system, you can link it to employees in public transport systems, in fact anywhere where the public could be at risk. This is one simple step that could be done. This was not possible 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. And I agree, the money which was made available at the time of the Nirbhaya incident has made an initial impact when you set up 5 fast-track courts. But the country needs dramatically large number of courts and more judges and more infrastructure to speed up the process, of the criminal judicial system.
Can I just look at that issue of fast-track courts? It's now been mentioned twice, Karunanandi, you're a lawyer, that the system doesn't deter a rapist. Do you really believe that that is the case? After Nirbhaya, I thought the laws were toughened up. Do you believe that the laws are not tough enough? They don't deter the rapist? Is it the fact that we don't have enough fast-track courts? In this particular case, the alleged rapist was acquitted because apparently some deal was struck and he was out back on the streets in 6 months or 7 months.
You know, we've heard the impugning of criminal jurisprudence. There's nothing wrong with criminal jurisprudence. It's the way the criminal justice system functions. We have about 14 judges per million in the country and we have about 21.5 judges per million in Delhi. It's lower than most developing countries. Rule of law is very thin on the ground in India. And we also have very few police people per million. And the police people we do have are recruited on the basis of how tall they are and how wide they are, and not their attitude to gender, and not how they deal with constitutionally protected categories. I also want to quickly say that we do not need a surveillance state. Already our surveillance is actually more than PRISM was at its height.
So you don't see technology as a solution?
What can the government do and what should the government be doing? And I want to be very clear. Technology can be a solution, but not providing a widespread surveillance state. But the thing is that it is political. Why do governments exist? Governments exist at the fundament to guarantee our safety, our liberty and our freedoms, to roam around on the streets, to be free from to maintain our bodily integrities. What should the government in Delhi be doing? For a start, why have the metro hours not been increased? Why are there not more DTC buses? Why is this ban keeping women off the street and in the homes, whereas we know that 98% of rapes happen by husbands? Why is that not being addressed with widespread behavior change campaigns? How many husbands are going to go to jail? At the moment, only under 354 and 377, because the actual just rape is still legal. So why do we not have these? You know, in the budget, there was some minimal allocation for some mindset change, you know. Why in schools do we not have that SMS campaign?
So you're asking for this problem to be tackled at multiple levels. You're saying don't simply tackle it as an issue of public transport at the moment. But you know, here, Mr. Lalani, the fact is this case
switch is not going to work.
Sure. But this case has focused the issue of public transport. You know, you have the Women's and Child Development Minister saying yesterday only that women cab drivers should now be used to drive women at night. I mean, is that going to be a solution? Is that an answer? Or do you believe that also is a knee-jerk answer?
Let us be realistic. Women cab drivers is not a possibility when we are not able to guarantee right now single women traveling in the late odd hours of the night. How would you do surveillance of women cab drivers in the middle of the night?
Do you have a problem of scarcity of drivers? No. Do you have a problem of scarcity of people? Therefore, there's a rapid attrition rate. Someone joins your company, moves the next 6 months to someone else. The system is such that it is porous. It's becoming more and more difficult. You get 3,000 more, you move to another cab service. How do I verify at every stage? And you're desperate to make profits. Let's be honest. Your priority, trust me, many believe, is not women's safety, it's profits. Be honest. Is your priority women's safety or profits?
Not true. It's absolutely the safety of every customer and every commuter who travels with us.
Because many believe that the model which Uber and radio taxis are putting in is purely driven by high profits. Is that true or not?
Not at all. Firstly, radio taxis are mandated to be owned by the companies. All the vehicles that we...
So the liability is entirely
completely yours.
If this instance were to happen in your cab company, the liability would be yours.
Absolutely.
It cannot be, as Uber is saying, transferred onto the government.
Not at all.
You know, that is the problem then, Meera Sanyal. You know, you're a corporate. Many believe that we are rich, and I'm going to come to Kiran Majumdar show as well on this, that many believe that the Uber world, the world created by Uber, is outsourcing women's safety. Uber is a company based in San Francisco. It doesn't want to touch the issue of women's safety in a country like India. It's not a priority for a company like Uber. You believe that?
Look, I mean, I think certainly Uber has failed. Let there be no doubt about that. But the responsibility of safety of citizens is not that of private companies or of cabs. The responsibility of the safety of every citizen is that of the government of India. And I think Karuna is absolutely right. Has the government prioritized women's safety? And the answer is absolutely not. They have ignored every warning. What was the State Transport Authority doing? What is the Home Minister doing? This issue has been raised since Nirbhaya. Is this government going to allow the Delhi police to report to the Delhi Chief Minister when that government is in place?
Is the Home Minister going to be held responsible, ma'am, for every rape in this country?
Exactly.
Are we going to reach the stage where Aam Aadmi Party goes to the Home Minister's house and says, you've got to resign because there's been a rape in a taxi?
And by the way, Rajnath, I do want to tell you that yesterday the people who were protesting outside the Home Minister's house were detained for 9 hours. There were 100 policemen.
I am asking another question, ma'am. Now that's a political response. I am asking, is calling for the head of the Home Minister an answer? Isn't that also a knee-jerk response?
Is someone accountable, Rajdeep? Is there a question, is there an answer to that? Who is accountable for the safety of women in Delhi? Is there anyone accountable?
I'm going to ask all my panelists then, and I'm going to give you all 30 seconds then. Who should be held accountable then? Because accountability is big. And I'm going to start with you, Kiran Majumdar Shaw. 30 seconds. Who should be held accountable? Where does accountability begin and end? Who at the end of the day, come tomorrow, should be held accountable?
It's a collective responsibility of society, the political class, and the companies operating the transport service. I don't think you can blame or pin the blame on one single entity.
But that way no one will be held accountable, ma'am. Sorry to jump in. Then no one will be held accountable. The moment you say collective responsibility, everyone will pass the buck.
No, it's not the question of accountability. No, but everyone has to be held accountable. No, it's not about that, Rajdeep. Are you trying to say that one of them is only responsible? No. I think we have a serious societal mindset problem. Women are not treated in an equitable way. I think that is the real root cause of our problems. We don't prioritize enough on women's rights, women's safety. I think that is the real serious issue. We don't take punitive action against rapists. We don't do enough to ensure safety. I think these are the real issues we are talking about. When will we prioritize this as a serious issue? For instance, SEBI has brought in a huge sexual harassment law which corporate India actually abides by. Are we applying the same sexual harassment laws to the political class? No. So, you know, let's look at the system. We are failing ourselves.
Okay. You know, those are strong words coming from you, Jai Panda. Jai Panda, you want to respond to that as a member of that political class? You know, the responses I get on Twitter is, who are these politicians who talk about this Uber rape case when they themselves have rapists who are in parliament, or alleged rapists in parliament? These are the kind of responses that we get. You know, and there is a point there. People are angry because they believe that the system has not done enough, and in fact has patronized and even co-opted such individuals in the past.
Indeed, and they have a right to be angry. And Rajdeep, you are aware, I have been advocating for the setting up of fast-track courts for particularly these two types of crimes, that is crimes against women and criminal cases against elected politicians like MPs and MLAs. You know, if we set up fast-track courts for these two, I think this would have a disproportionately good cascading effect throughout society if these cases could be adjudicated faster. Of course, all cases need to be adjudicated faster, but the thing is, we only react to cases like this and the Nirbhaya case when there is a great hue and cry, but in the subsequent intervening time, we do not make the sanctions for the funding necessary for the fast-track courts, for the police reform, and for the many other things that are necessary to ensure systemic change. And so that is what we must be held accountable for.
I'm going to leave it there because I think, you know, I've run out of time, and I think all of you have given solutions which are valuable, which are going well below. Yes, Sudhanshu, you raised your finger. Quick, 30 seconds.
Yeah, this thing is, let's look at things in the perspective and not get into a blame game. We need to strengthen prevention, strengthen detection, and strengthen prosecution. Because without sending that chilling message that anybody violating law will not be spared, nothing will happen. Okay. If the rapist of Nirbhaya is still not hanged, then please, it's sending a very bad message.
Okay, we're going to leave it at that. We're going to leave it at that because I think it's very clear that we need accountability, and it's a systemic accountability. It's not an accountability of an individual, it's the accountability of a system, an ecosystem that continues to fail the Indian woman. Appreciate all my panelists joining us this evening as we continue to focus on the fallout of the Uber case.